I know there's a couple of folks who've been sitting on the side of the stage and all night they've kind of been very kind and very generous in scooting out of the way and scooting back to their table and out of the way as people make their way through the crowd. Let's give them a round of applause for being very sweet. All right, Sabrina, are you here? You are? Great. You should start walking up this way, I think. Because it's just going to be crazy. You know. All right, first storyteller, the second half, Sabrina the Moth.
Oh, I just walked in on her hand.
I'm going to preface this story with my boyfriend's words of encouragement. If you blow it, it's on tape. I often describe my oldest sister as suffocatingly kind. I grew up with my hugging me and kissing me, and I'm going to go and schedule 20 different things and try to do 5 of them and then maybe fit in 15 more. And being the youngest of 4 girls and Maya being the eldest, I was kind of her baby, you know, of course, her baby sister, but she was a second mother to me and loved me so intensely. There was a lot of, but as loving as she was, I also grew up with her. She was diagnosed as bipolar when she was 11. And so I remember being in the van growing up, going to school, and, you know, what's Maya going to say that's inappropriate, kind of that little bit of fear. I built up a bit of resentment when she was sent away to boarding school when she was 13. And I was angry when I had to visit her when I was 11 on the psych ward at the Cornell University White Plains Hospital after she OD'd on a bunch of recreational drugs when she was 18 years old. But, which was a great turn, was the first time that we really became no longer, you know, baby sister, oldest sister. Was she met me when I was just finishing up my semester of study abroad in Thailand. And we went scuba diving together for the first time and got certified. We took an overnight train on my 21st birthday down to Koh Tao, and if you've ever been to Thailand or seen the beach, it is as beautiful as that. And swimming with, on our first dive test, there were 2 whale sharks. And I just remember playing with Maya in the water and looking at her at one point and literally drawing a heart in the air. And also interacting a lot with the cameraman in the water and doing flips and just completely absorbed in each other. I fast forward now to, she got married 15 months later, and it was just the magic of Thailand kind of jumped to her wedding between us. I expected to get a phone call when 7 months down the road, because all I ever wanted was kids and to be married with like little ones kind of running around naked. Saying, you know, you're gonna be an aunt, I'm pregnant, you know, Mike is so excited, yada, yada, yada. But I never expected that the first time that I walked into a coroner's office was to see my sister laying on a table. And I never expected to know to understand what the physiological effects are of someone hanging themselves. And this deep red cut bruised line around her neck, and then observing the stitches across her chest and down her stomach. And the most horrifying sight was the shock of her tongue, her lips clenching her tongue, and that deep blue, reddish purple color just ballooned. And I remember watching my mom kind of unveiling the white cloth that was covering her and sort of examining her body herself and tracing her arm, her fingertips down her arm and back up and then down her side and to her feet, and myself trying to pull off this bracelet from her hand that was so clenched from the anger and the effect and the reason that she killed herself, partially her extreme behavior of being bipolar, but also how emotionally abusive her husband was to her. And I remember 3 days later standing, watching her coffin being lowered after having, read a eulogy for her and kind of saying my goodbyes behind the closed curtain in front of, 300 people, 500 people, 1,000 people at her funeral. It was really hard to keep track, and feeling her skin again and no longer being so fresh, but cold and rubbery, and her lips, her tongue was thrown into her mouth and her lips were pierced, and she had a little bit of makeup on, and it was no longer my sister. And then 30 minutes later, standing, watching the coffin being lowered, and I'm Jewish, so throwing some soil onto the coffin and thinking, I now learn for the first time, what it means to bury my sister.